Briefing. Before resuming the 8th Council meeting of the year, FEC observed a minute of silence in honor of former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Joy Ogu, acknowledging her contributions to national development. The Senate has begun screening the first batch of ambassadorial nominee as part of efforts to fill vacancies created after the 2023 recall of Nigerian envoys. The Committee on Foreign Affairs opened the session following the transmission of names by President Bola Tinubu. Committee Chairman Senator Sani Bello confirmed that nominee Ayodele Oke addressed all pending concerns raised in earlier petitions during the closed-door interaction. Lawmakers say additional lists comprising 32 nominees are expected in the coming days. The prolonged delay in appointing ambassadors has left several missions undischarged affairs, limiting Nigeria's full diplomatic engagement abroad. The committee's reports will be presented to the Senate for consideration and possible confirmation. A former Minister of Defense, Mohammed Baduru Abubakar, has dismissed as false a viral publication claiming he resigned in protest of military operations by Nigeria and the United States. He described the report as malicious, baseless, and aimed at damaging his reputation. Badaru stated that the claims did not originate from him or any authorized representative, insisting that mischief makers fabricated the story to create friction between him and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He said the actual reasons for his resignation had already been formally conveyed and made public. He reaffirmed his loyalty to the president, the APC, and the renewed Hope agenda, pledging continued support to the ruling party as operations gradually build towards the 2027 elections. Former Chief of Defense Staff, retired General Christopher Musa, says strengthening community resilience is vital in addressing Nigeria's rising cases of kidnapping. He made the remarks during his Senate screening for appointments as Minister of Defense. General Musa described the increasing incidence of school abductions as tragic and called for a review of the Safe Schools initiative to achieve better protection outcomes. He emphasized the need for a holistic security response. He noted that crime is rooted within communities, stressing that empowering locals to act as first responders will significantly improve early detection and deterrence of criminal activities across the country. The House of Representatives has asked the federal government to publish the identities of persons allegedly financing terrorism and banditry across Nigeria. Lawmakers believe exposing them is key to disabling the network fueling insecurity. The resolution follows comments by the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Communication, Daniel Bwala, who disclosed that the government is preparing to reveal those sponsoring terror activities. He said far-reaching decisions are underway on national security. Members of the House said the move will complement ongoing intelligence efforts and strengthen international cooperation in tackling terrorism, which remains a global security challenge. The House of Representatives has condemned renewed bandit attacks in Kebbi State and ordered a joint clearance operation involving multiple security agencies. This follows the killing of 3 immigration officers in an attack on the Bakin outpost. Lawmaker Bello Kaoje told the House that bandits appeared to be establishing bases around the Soda Forest and Suru Hills. Taking advantage of Kebbi's border with the Republic of Benin, he expressed concern over similar post attacks on customs and police officers. The House called for coordinated action by the armed forces, police, and intelligence agencies and directed that families of the slain officers be adequately compensated. The Nigeria Police Force has intensified its crackdown on illegal VIP protection duties. A new directive from the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of protection warns officers against escorting individuals without proper authorization. The signal, issued to all protection units nationwide, reiterates the Inspector General's earlier order withdrawing personnel from unauthorized escorts and banning the use of plain clothes during such assignments. The police leadership said the move is aimed at strengthening discipline, ensuring compliance with operational guidelines, and redeploying personnel to core security responsibilities. Security expert Dr. John Ebo is advocating a reduction rather than total withdrawal of police personnel assigned to VIP protection. He argues that a strategic cutback will free more officers for community policing and rapid response operations. Dr. Ebo cautions that completely removing escorts could expose high-risk individuals while reducing the deterrent effects convoys often provide along major routes. He said a threat-based deployment model remains the most effective approach. He commended federal efforts to recruit additional police officers, but stressed the importance of strict vetting to prevent infiltration by criminal elements. He emphasized that balanced deployment will strengthen national security without compromising VIP safety. FCT Minister Yusuf Wike has approved the appointment of Town Planner Mukhtar Usman Galadima as Senior Special Assistant on Development Control and Planning. The announcement was made by the Minister's SSA on Public Communications, Larry Folayinka. Galadima, who recently retired, previously served as Director of the Department of Development Control and is credited with over 3 decades of professional experience in the FCT. His new role takes immediate effect. He has also served on major committees, including the Abuja Master Plan Restoration Tax Team and the review of revoked titles and land use changes, bringing extensive technical expertise to the FCT administration. The Adamawa state government will begin a fresh round of anti-polio immunization from December 6 to 9, targeting more than 1.3 million children below 5 years. The exercise will cover all 21 local government areas. Executive Chairman of the Senate Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Bashir Usman, said Nigeria must sustain routine vaccination despite being certified free of white polio in 2019. He warned that global travel continues to pose a risk of virus reimportation. He urged parents to cooperate with health workers and appealed to the media to support sensitization, stressing that polio vaccination remains safe and essential for protecting vulnerable children. The Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs, Princess M.M. Ebanga, says support for persons with disabilities must be driven by justice and inclusion. She made the remarks during the state's commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The event also featured a message from the wife of the president, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by First Lady Designate Helen Obareke, announcing that December 3 will annually mark economic empowerment for persons with disabilities under the Renewed Hope Initiative. A total of 9,500 PWDs nationwide, including 250 beneficiaries in Akwa Ibom, received 200,000 naira business grants. Beneficiaries were encouraged to invest the funds responsibly for sustained economic improvement. News around the globe is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us on all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, a quick recap of the major stories making the news. President Tinubu has sworn in the new chairman of the National Population Commission. Senate is currently screening the president's first set of ambassadorial nominees. Former Minister Mohamed Badiru has denied circulating online claims about his alleged resignation. Coming up shortly, Tinubu's envoys have briefed the U.S. president after their meeting with President Putin. Mexico has approved new wage increases and a shorter work week for workers. The naira showed resilience against the U.S. dollar in early Thursday trading. The news continues after this timeout. Welcome back. Now the rest of the stories. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have briefed President Donald Trump and Ukrainian officials on their high-level engagement with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Officials described Tuesday's talks as thorough and productive, signaling renewed diplomatic maneuvers involving Washington, Kiev, and Moscow. The briefing held yesterday at the White House included Ukrainian representatives highlighting the weight attached to the discussion amid ongoing efforts to reduce tensions and explore negotiated outcomes in Eastern Europe. The development follows confirmation of a recent respectful and cordial telephone conversation between President Trump and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, suggesting wider diplomatic outreach by the U.S. administration. Mexico has announced fresh labor reforms aimed at bolstering workers' welfare, including a 13% increase in the national minimum wage effective January 2026. The new rate rises to 315.04 pesos per day and 440.87 pesos in northern border zones, pushing cumulative wage growth to 154% since 2018. President Claudia Sheinbaum's government is also submitting a bill to Congress seeking to reduce the national work week from 48 hours to 40 hours by 2030. The phased reduction will begin in 2027 and targets Mexico's record high annual working hours, currently the highest in the OECD. The measures come despite a 0.3% economic contraction in the third quarter, with the administration insisting the reforms will strengthen productivity and protect household income without triggering inflammatory pressures. Italy's competition authority has closed its investigation into Rome's public transport operator ATAC after the company agreed to compensate passengers for years of poor service. More than €3 million will be allocated for refunds to annual pass holders affected by repeated delays, malfunctioning escalators, and security lapses between 2021 and 2023. Under the settlement, 2024 annual pass holders will receive €5, while those with passes from 2021 to 2023 will get an additional €5. ATAC will also introduce a new mobile application that offers partial refunds to commuters for service delays of more than 15 minutes. Management say the commitment will accelerate ongoing reforms, including new staff recruitment, expanded training programs, and infrastructure upgrades funded through government and EU post-COVID support. Fresh accounts from survivors and aid workers indicate that Sudan's Rapid Support Forces and allied militias are detaining civilians in and around Al-Fashir and demanding ransom payments. The alleged abductions began after the RSF captured the city in late October, with ransoms reportedly ranging from 5 million to 60 million Sudanese pounds. Multiple witnesses say captives unable to pay are beaten, shot at close range, and killed in groups, echoing earlier patterns of ethnically charged violence in Darfur. Survivors also reported incidents of sexual violence and reprisal against those suspected of opposing the RSF. While the RSF denies responsibility, its internal committee acknowledges it is investigating more than 100 abuse cases daily, with several arrests and 9 convictions recorded so far. And now on to business news. The Central Bank of Nigeria has abolished all cumulative cash deposit limits for individuals and corporate customers. The policy, effective January 1, removes charges previously applied when customers deposited amounts above specified thresholds. However, the Apex Bank has retained strict weekly withdrawal ceilings of 500,000 naira for individuals and 5 million naira for companies. Withdrawals above these limits will continue to attract penalty fees of 3% and 5% respectively, while ATM withdrawals remain restricted to 100,000 naira per day. The CBN says the new rules reflect current realities and supersede 24 previous circulars. Exemptions earlier granted to embassies, diplomatic missions, and donor agencies have been withdrawn, while the requirement for special monthly withdrawal approvals has been scrapped. Also in business, Nigeria is facing consistent rejection of its exports in European Union markets due to quality failures, weak regulatory enforcement, and poor traceability systems. The setbacks contributed to an 8.5% drop in dollar export earnings in 2024, despite the weaker naira boosting local currency values. Agricultural products are frequently turned back over excessive pesticide residues, contamination, and inadequate documentation. Analysts attribute the problem to fragmented value chains, outdated laboratory systems, and insufficient investment in international standard quality assurance. Although non-oil sectors such as cocoa recorded growth, crude oil still accounts for nearly 90% of export revenue. Experts warn that without stronger quality control mechanisms, Nigeria will continue losing access to high-value global markets. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria is undergoing major restructuring to position it as a modern, efficient, and globally competitive aviation manager. The board chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, says the reforms focus on leadership, modernization, and long-term strategic renewal. The new direction prioritizes upgrading airport infrastructure, strengthening safety systems, and adopting digital tools to improve passenger experience. PAN is also reviewing revenue generation strategies to support infrastructure expansion and operational efficiency. Managing Director Olubimi Kuku reaffirmed an open-door policy to encourage transparency and collaboration. Legislative leaders attending the retreat urged PAN to sustain reforms that place safety, sustainability, and customer satisfaction at the center of national aviation development. Young innovators and agri-tech entrepreneurs gathered in Enugu for the Youth in Agri Innovation to Wealth Creation program, focusing on technology adoption across Nigeria's agricultural value chains. Speakers called for modern processing systems, improved preservation techniques, and research-driven practices to enhance productivity. Resource persons highlighted opportunities in zero-waste agriculture, value addition, and high-demand commodities such as hibiscus, ginger, cassava, and bitter cola. They urged young farmers to prioritize quality, packaging, and market intelligence to compete globally. Participants also received guidance on grant access, business structure, and farm commercialization. The forum forms part of a national effort to position youth-driven innovation at the core of Nigeria's food security and agricultural export ambitions. The naira maintained stability against the US dollar in early Thursday trading, closing the gap between the official and parallel markets. At the Nigerian foreign exchange market, the currency traded at about 1,444.54 naira to the dollar, with intra-day movements remaining narrow. In the parallel market, the naira averaged 1,468 naira, sustaining the tighter premium that has characterized recent weeks. Dealers reported moderate demand but no significant pressure on rates. Officials attribute the stability to improved liquidity and the central bank's ongoing rate unification efforts through the electronic foreign exchange management system. We now bring you our sports stories. FIFA has directed clubs to release players for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations by December 15, 1 week earlier than usual, to reduce clashes with European fixtures. The tournament will hold in Morocco from December 21 to January 18, 2026. Nigeria's head coach Eric Chelle has named a 55-man provisional squad featuring Captain William Ekong, Victor Osimhen, and Wilfred Ndidi. 5 players from the domestic league also made the list. The Super Eagles will open camp in Egypt on December 10 for friendly matches before the squad is trimmed to 28. Nigeria is grouped with Tanzania, Tunisia, and Uganda. Prudential Sports Limited has honored outstanding athletes and administrators in Gumbo State with awards and donations valued at more than 65 million naira. Messi Liana Namawa won the overall Best Athlete Award, while other categories recognize young achievers and sports administrators. Former Governor Ibrahim Dankwambo, who presented the top award, pledged to sponsor Messi Lia to the Continental Chess Championship in Zimbabwe. The event also included welfare interventions for active and retired athletes. Over 1,000 retired sportsmen and their dependents were enrolled into the state's Go Health scheme, while 100 active athletes joined a pension plan. Additional funds and sports equipment were donated to associations and schools. Now I'll bring you some entertainment stories. Nigerian music star Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Tubaba, has sparked public concern after posting a brief "help me" message on social media before deleting it. The post has intensified scrutiny of his relationship with Natasha, an Edo lawmaker, following his separation from Annie Dibia. Family members and associates accused Natasha of exerting psychological control over the singer and hindering his career. His brothers and mother have publicly appealed for intervention, alleging prolonged distress and manipulation. Media personality Daddy Freeze also voiced concern after witnessing interactions involving the couple, describing the situation as disturbing. Online reactions, however, remain divided, with some critics mocking the singer over his relationship choices. Singer Peter Okoye, known as Mita P, says poverty remains his greatest fear, not death. Speaking on the Nancy Isime show, he recalled a childhood marked by severe hardship, including an incident where a family home was demolished while they were still inside. The artist said the traumatic experience of growing up in a cramped single-room apartment with his siblings continues to drive his determination to avoid returning to poverty. He described the demolition as a defining moment in his resolve to succeed. Mr. P explains that the memory still motivates his work ethic and long-standing commitment to financial stability despite fame and career achievements. And finally, before we go this morning on News Around the Globe, a recap of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in new chairman of the National Population Commission. The House of Representatives have called on the federal government to publish names of identified terrorism financiers. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has announced removal of cash deposit limits for banks. FIFA has directed football clubs to release players by December 15 ahead of international engagements. And on entertainment, Nigerian music star Tubaba has raised concern in now-deleted post amid reported relationship challenges. And thus, news around the globe on Aneke TV. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. On behalf of the producer, Chidimma Asogwa, and the entire news team, I'm Nancy Marian. Thank you very much for watching. Do have yourself a beautiful day. Good morning.
Great.